You're watching the 420 Pace Network, found at 420radio.ca and paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
This podcast is for adults only, should not be used as a meal replacement, and may contain nuts.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Noobie and the Doobie. My name is Timmy. I am the Noobie.
Mary Jane, I am the Doobie.
We're very excited today to have on the spot with us John Berfelo. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. This is like an honor. Pretty fantastic. And I think I matched the background, same shirt, same color, yellow.
Right? Yeah.
I
I should be on your side. I was like, how can I get your background?
You would just blend right in.
Yeah, you would.
Blend right in.
The green screen might it would look right through your chest though. You'd be able to see right through there.
Yeah.
Well, then you just see all the rosin falling inside of me.
I remember, John, when I first met you, MJ will probably walk through her story in a minute, but I met you down at Lyft in Toronto not too long ago. You came up to our booth 0. We were sitting out there in our unicorn outfits, and MJ was like, "No, you don't know who that is." Like she was almost like rock star level.
Well,
I was like, "Who is this dude walking around Toronto?"
Timmy has no idea. That was actually the first time I got to meet John too, because John lives on the other side of Canada. So I never really had the
but she knew of you.
Yes, I knew of John because it was my very first 420 that I was like, fuck this noise. I'm going to Vapor Central. Matt Murnaugh was running for mayor, I think it was. I'm like, I'm going to go protest. I'm going to walk down the street with everybody. I'm going to go to 420. And it was that 420 that we were handing these things. I'm sure it was many 420s. Now, this one is from Vancouver, 420, I just want to say. This one is the 25-year celebration special anniversary edition. I have quite a few collectibles, which we did talk about at Lyft. But as soon as I seen this device, here, Timmy, do you want to hold the lid?
Sure.
So I fell in love. It's a container, it's a grinder, it's waterproof, it's airtight, it's smell proof. I've dropped these things off the side of the boat and it floats. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've talked about this thing too. And I was like, I got to know who made this. I guess it was you.
I guess it was you.
And as soon
John.
as I Googled Medtainer, it was like, John. I'm like, okay. Like, I got to start. Like, I was like, so of course, when I seen John at Lyft with he was carrying around his bag of Medtainers, I was like, and Timmy's like, what? I was like, it's him. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to get to meet him. That's so awesome. So that was my first time meeting John too.
So does that happen a lot, John? Are you a rock star?
Got fans all over. You don't even know.
It's pretty humbling and honoring to be able to touch so many people around the world and be able to associate that and I feel it's what's the best way of saying it? I was in the tip of Mexico, in the middle, in front of me was the ocean. It was 8 a.m. and I go outside overlooking the beach, and there's no one around here. There's Johnny fucking B. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And you know what? At that point, you could just feel inside of you going, wow, I'm in Mexico. And there was actually a Lyft concert going on. So, of course, there's a bunch of Lyft fans there. They're watching all the videos on Bubble Man's World. And I'm like, fucking, oh my God, it's Johnny B. And that was that first moment when it was kind of like, like you were actually impacting and showing people how much something you're passionate, what you truly love. And people are picking up on that emotion and that story, what you're really truly about. And it's really nice to see how we've affected the nation on our passion about this plant and what we're able to do with it. And when you see that and you truly visualize what you truly mean about, and then when you get at a certain part of the world or you're in the lineup at a Safeway, you hear Johnny B, I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's from the videos. It's not so much Medtainer. Medtainer was a part of a big focus of the life, but I mean, it really came down to is the empowerment of growth and being able to the journey of my cannabis journey was really truly it helped me. It helped me in so many ways. The cannabis community was truly the biggest help of the people like yourselves and everybody that's listening here and the people around that truly are passionate about a plant and they can feel that energy, you know, and I think that's what it was is it's the plant gave me the energy and no matter where I go, it's like freedom. That's why I got the shirt on, right? It's just like it's like and I'll get excited and I miss my bong and I have to leave this back up again.
Oh, go for it.
What?
I was just going to ask, speaking of your cannabis journey, you've obviously been a consumer and an advocate for many years. Do you remember the first time you consumed and actually got high? Was it a good trip? Was it a bad trip?
Well, I definitely was younger and you're probably going back to, you know, I'm a young lad and you know what, I remember it just helping me, you know. I remember it was something that I truly like, you know, doing your dab.
Medicine. Yeah, don't let us distract you from that a second time. See how easy that was? Heat it up and
I see that, yeah. The fact that you gotta have a blowtorch with you. Wait, what is that for?
Is that the temperature thing?
This is the Terp Tech. So this is the Terp Tech. This is from Mothership. It's a little digital Terp Tech right here.
You just aim it at it?
Aim on the bottom.
Tells you temperature.
Give you that perfect temperature, that perfect tech. So
you don't heat it up too much. You don't burn it.
I was always known as the hot dabber.
Mm-hmm.
Dab the fuck out videos from Barcelona with Bubble Man and you know, it's I used to like the hot dab because it helped me with my pain. You know, if a lot of people know me from Medtainer. I was like, you know, I can do the little walk around here because some of the first Medtainers are going back. This is the legend of the first Medtainers are right here. This is This is 2012. This is really the beginning stages of Medtainers. Some Broken Coast, from High Times, from I got Sons of Anarchy. I got Crooks and Castles, Crowns, and yeah, Vapor Central. Here's an old Vapor Central one.
My goodness.
Oh, just lost that one there. So I'm looking over here and not looking for you guys. I'm busy looking at them and you guys can't see what's going on here. So as I'm getting all excited, but you can just see all the different ones here from the original Puff ones, Treating Yourself, the very first in Vancouver 420, stuff like that. So that's kind of like my little memory of the beginning of Medtainer and my vision and the whole reason was I wanted to take cannabis around the world, the green way. Because it helped me so much with the smell-proof container to keep it fresh and safe and to keep my medicine beside me. And I was able to take it wherever I went because wherever I had, you know, it really came down to is after my fall, I, of course, filled up my forms and got legal and was able to grow my 49 plants at 10 grams a day. This is in 2005, by the way, guys. So I am definitely an old grower and have been in the system for a very long time. So that's like 17 years of legally being able to grow cannabis in this country. And before that, I've been growing illegally for 17 years. So can you imagine, like, you know, like it's like it's a full circle now because now I look at it. Wow, it's been I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm 49, 50 years old, and when I was 16 years old, at that point I had been charged for possession of cannabis, and I said I was going to do this legally. And when I got older and fuck the system, right? Well, yeah, here we are. And 17 years of doing it illegally and 17 years doing it legally. So I pretty much you know, I've got a lot of stories, a lot of wisdom, a lot of interesting things that I've really realized that when you start digging through the old archives, and I was just showing you guys that we're sitting here dabbing with the rig and everything else like that. But if all you newbies have no idea, but we used to dab from a lighter that we rigged up and put a little piece of metal on there, and you can see this little thing on there. And we'd heat this up. It doesn't work right now, and then you get your pin, you put on there to do a dab because there's no such thing as a rig. There was no quartz banger. There was none of these things. These didn't exist.
It was like a portable hot knife.
It wasn't. Oh, Oh, you're gonna love this. So we're talking about. I was more than that. We did the spoon and the knife. This is 16 years old. This is 34 years old in my hand.
Wow.
I dug out some stuff. I just showed you. I have a rolling tray that I used when I was a kid. So
That's great.
You can imagine little things. You guys remember these old little vaporizers?
Oh my God. Yes. That's crazy.
But of course, I have my volcano down here, right?
Oh yeah, you gotta have the volcano.
Yeah,
You guys
and then
got a lot of tools.
Oh yeah.
I've been using cannabis as a medicine my whole life. A lot of people, if I look out when I was younger, were on Ritalin or different things like that for maybe ADHD. But I mean, young John over here was smoking a little bit of cannabis at a very young age and didn't get hooked on all of these pharmaceutical drugs until, of course, his fall, right? And then we'll talk more about that. But
so you knew it was you knew it was medicine right from the beginning.
That's what I mean. It's been a medical journey for me for 34 years. And I know that. And I know that so much. And you can see it. And you're like, how can they ever tell me this is a drug? And I fought for that my whole life. I stood, everybody knows, on stages in front of people. This is my medicine, freedom. And then seeing where it is today, that I could pick up a nano-emulsification drink and get some relaxation, to me is just like...
Yeah, it's huge.
I fought for it. You know, I got kombucha drinks. I just finished one. I was ready to grab one, but I got like THC shots. I mean, I got THC drinks everywhere. They're pretty awesome. Here we go. Great for your smoothie. I think they're fantastic. Like, they really are.
Nice.
I love how you said right near the beginning there, you know, when you were like 16, 17, and you're like, when I get older, I'm going to do this legally. Like, you even had this vision of like, it will be legal one day. I'm going to get there and I'm going to help it get there.
Yeah. No, I actually can honestly say I had that. I remember I strictly said that. I'm going to do this legally when I get older. I'm going to grow it legally and sell it. And that was 16 years old. And it was something that I felt that then it was like, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Right.
This is helping me. Like it is today. Like we see this all over the world. Like we see it helping children. We see it helping younger adults, older adults. We see it helping grandma and grandpa with arthritis, whatever it is.
Yeah, I didn't
can't deny it now. It's kind of like it's over the top. Like the amount of research I have in the filing cabinets and the information that, because I'm unpacking boxes from 15 years ago in the last like couple days, and you're like pulling out these archives going, okay, I have been doing this my whole fucking life, haven't I? Because someone said something, because I talked to someone who knew you like 15 years ago, and they had the same story as the guy who knew you last week, because you haven't changed. I'm like, I said, you should talk to my friends from 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Like, things haven't changed, you know? Like, it's always been about the education and the passion of a plant that helps us in so many different ways. And for me, it's always been about growth. And I always say that. Grow your own, grow your life. And cannabis helped me grow through so many different stages of my journey in this life that has been so awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and every time I can think about it, you know what? I can put the fragrance of the strain to a different time of the era throughout my time of life. How about fucking that? I can take the smell of the 80s of those strains, you know, those tie sticks that you got when you were a kid that pulled a seed out of. I can envision that strain and that smell, and it will take me back to that era. So that it takes me back to that emotion, to that scent of the strain throughout my life, and all those different strains. When you talk to somebody at my age, we can now put right to that moment, go, oh fuck, I remember that. I went to that concert in White Snake, and you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden you can place that moment in time. And I think that's what is so great about cannabis is with that smell, you can then place it to a moment in time. And you know what? Smell and emotion and a story is what we're really linked to so much in life. Like, as we're sitting here talking about it, we can all smell, we could close our eyes, and everybody can now concentrate on that first smell. And then they can associate it to a taste.
I never thought about that, because the smell of weed when I first started way back in like the 90s, 2000s, it smelled different. It was very skunky. It was very like,
and I think in the 80s of the Thai sticky of that Mexican funk
Yeah.
that I loved. I can now place the 80s. I can remember 1986. You know what I mean? Like, I was in school. I had the ripped jeans, had the backwards hat, Metallica jacket. I should put Metallica shirt on me back in a second. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I wear that Metallica shirt every day still. That's one thing about the 80s, right? But that's one thing about cannabis has done so much for me is it's even the 90s, and then I remember the juicy fruits and the grapefruit and stuff like that, and the beginning of the OG Kushes, and coming in the 2000s you got into a lot of the juicy strains, but the Kushes were slowly coming in, breaking those grounds, because I was always a Kush guy, and then I was thinking with the blueberry, around the blueberry, that was a very tasty strain.
I feel like I'm missing out on something here because
it all just smells like weed to
we
him.
joke all the time. Like, she'll be like, she gets so upset when she's like, smell this, and I'm like, it smells like weed. I don't have that. I
just grew Bruce Banner No. 3 and Blueberry Headband from Humboldt. And two completely different terpene profiles, and I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, I can tell that they smell different, but I don't smell anything in particular. Like, you can't pull out the nodes, whereas like a lot of us can go, oh my god, I smell limonene, or I smell myrcene, or
there's some people like that. They're so on par with those smells. They go, this is limey, this is that, and I'm like, what's it smell like? Really fucking good weed. I'll give it to you now. I go, you know, the 90s, like, yeah, right there. Like, see how I can describe weed to an era, right? Where a lot of people can go, I got the piney or the maple or this or that. And someone goes, look at my kid, looks just like him. I'm like, how? That doesn't look like you. That kid looks like someone completely different. Is you sure that's your kid? Because I'm that person. You know what I mean? Like, certain things I just can't associate with, but I know the fruity or the lemon or the orangey or that OG, that gas, like how you describe your cannabis. And I'm a gas guy. It works for my pain. I'll say it over and over. I want that kush. I want that smack. I want to open up a jar and do this.
And get hit in the face.
Fuck. You know? Like, fuck.
Does that look familiar?
Can you guys smell this with me? Like,
that's probably really terpene.
Like, okay, this is pink goo, and it's just another pink kush, but this one's just an over the top good pheno. Vamspan ran this for me, full plant profile, so 73 159. And when I wash things, so people are like, oh, I can't wash like that. Well, it's because you take your shitty weed and wash it, or you take your sugar lift when we used to make bubble hash back in the late 90s, something like that. So we've changed fire in, fire out. So you take everything, you put it in there. If you don't have, I don't have a big enough one, well, then get a little bucket. Remember, someone says, I don't have enough weed. We can supply you with 1 gallon bubble bags. You know what I mean? You don't need to have a 20-gallon bag because everybody has the 20. Oh, look at those guys.
Yeah.
I laugh because, you know what? This is all I used to make my hash with, guys. Look, I still have the spoons in here and everything, along with the beginning medtainers, TY. So this is 2013, 2012. Wow. And it's funny because I used to have instead of my OxyContin in here, I'd keep my rolly papers with the rosin in there. See, this is how old this shit is.
Yeah.
Instead of OxyContin, I was using cannabis. I was using oil. I had to use extractions to get do the painkillers. So this is another big thing, because that's what really helped me get off of a lot of the heavy painkillers was the active forms of THC and those concentrates. And then being able to use like the joints throughout the day would be able to alleviate the pain a little bit, but in reality it was the converted forms of THC, the Cannacaps. I found the whole Cannacap making kit the other day too. It's kind of like memories. That's cool. Shit, that's 1988, right? You gotta understand, we were decarboxylating and activating cannabis, and that was Dr. Hornby, and he started doing that in 2005, 2006, right? So it was 04 or 05. Certain things that happened back then, but I was just like, I'm in archive mode right now because of everything around me. Like, you guys, this is a great time to do this, because as I'm unpacking a lot of stuff that's being packed in boxes, and when I mean like packed in boxes, I'm taking like, look at how old these bubble bags are.
Oh my.
Look how used they are.
Oh
Like
my.
you can't tell you I did not make a lot of 1 gallon hash. You know, this is all we had back then because I was
Yep.
a medical patient. I literally could not pull a 5 gallon bag. No fucking way. Not for the life of me. When people say you can't do it, then go for a little one.
Yep.
And I used that thing was my best friend with the plant there right now. As you can see, there's always plants in my life. They're everywhere.
Well, that's
Yeah.
great. It just goes to show people that they don't need large scale.
You don't.
Like you don't need a lot of cannabis to do this.
All you need is passion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And concentrates are great for
That's
people
where it
that
came
need
into.
that like extra pain relief than
Yeah.
like you're saying,
I
smoking a
can't
joint
mix.
only.
You can mix a mixer. That's how I used to
Yep.
mix mine. I used to mix it like this.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, it's not like, and then I would strain it and I put it through here. You can still see the hash in there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I used the sieve and then I put it in the freezer. And then I forgot about it for a year. Wrapped it and then that was what? The first freeze-dried hash.
Yeah.
People laugh about it, but my hash was pistol white. It burned like white as a ghost and it went right through the screen. It's 2013. Yeah.
Nice.
And I was told, well, that was the first street drying hash. It was an accident. I remember giving it to Skunk Man Sam, Dave Watson, because I was in Amsterdam and had this 3 gallons. He's like, that's fucking killer. I'm
amazing how
I'm like, fucking Mike, this guy likes my hash.
Well, it's
Right?
amazing how those products are created. Like I remember wax, when wax first came out. And I was like, what is this wax? And they're like, well, it was, or butter or whatever. It was like, oh, well, basically somebody was trying to make oil or shatter and they agitated it too much in trying to evaporate the alcohol. And they created this like whipped product. And Buddy was like, well, I don't want to throw it away. So they smoked it.
Remember stuff back in the day we called stuff glass because we did some stuff with
Yes.
things. Yeah, I did the glass days. I remember going around and getting everybody super high. This is awesome. So here, you guys are in the archive lane right here.
What is
We
that?
have some of the first Horatio stuff ever made, the packs. We have some of the first place cannabis cups, some of the first hashes ever kind of done
Wow.
in certain ways. This stuff is
Yeah.
so old, it's ridiculous. Like this is like
Yeah.
this is hash that's like 20 years old type deal.
Yeah.
This is my little box of things that have happened throughout like the first some of the first shatters ever made, some of the first distillates. I'm having fun with you guys right now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We tried to create medicine and we didn't exactly know what we were doing.
Yeah, like this is some of the first stuff ever made back
awesome.
in the days, guys. Like, yeah, I know you know how old it is. This is like, oh man, this is. I feel like I want to smoke that.
Take like a little like
Wait,
a dab pen to it.
As a newbie though, I know it's
I can't. I know.
You can't, right?
Yeah.
He's like, it's too old.
Yeah,
well, no,
like
it's kind of like I'm excited here right now. I got
like I know it's nostalgic.
I'm excited because you're excited.
Well, there's some of the stuff you've never seen before, right? Some of the stuff that we've kind of like. It's the first. This is some of the first rosin ever made.
Yeah.
Because that was soy brown style, and we were. This is me
So
putting
how
it
were
into
you
a bag and swishing it for the first time in a bag. Never squished in the bag because we were doing it just with the bud and the parchment. So
were you using a hair straightener?
I have the original hair straightener.
Okay, I was gonna say because that was back in the day, right? Hair straighteners with the bags. That's why women were so pissed off at the boyfriend.
But guys hated me. I was like investing in Revlon when I did the Death of BHO video before they took it down. It had like 2.6 million views on it.
Yeah.
When they ripped that sucker down. But here we go. Hair straightener days.
It wasn't long before somebody said, I need to make a shop press with heated metal plates and like adjusted temperatures.
Well, that's because we did that one. Here's the original hair straightener.
Look at it.
See, it's still duct taped together.
I am
step on it.
Yeah,
constantly amazed. You like the cannabis community takes regular items
Here's the next one.
And makes it work.
I think MacGyver must have been a cannabis consumer.
It's crazy.
Oh, shit, look at the archives in here, guys. I fucking love this crap. Here's some of these are the cannabis. This is when I won my cannabis cup. Oh, they're right here. Second place for CBD.
Ooh.
And then I got first place for best CBD concentrate right there.
Nice.
Yeah, and always, knowing is not enough, you must apply. Applying is not enough, you must do that. I live by that my whole life. I've had that.
Wait,
That's a
I've
good
had
saying.
say that again.
Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. Bruce Lee.
Right.
That has been my saying through my recoveries, through my life, through my growth, through everything that I do. Here's one of my that's what Bob High did for me. That made me 420 Weed Master. That's why I was on Instagram for so long. Until I had to change it to John Berfelo Official because of the 54 fake accounts. 64. There was another one yesterday. 64.
Oh man,
It's powering. It's pretty cool.
I can honestly say that I never ever thought that I would see somebody so passionate about cannabis. Like I grew up in the church. I was you know, we were
But this is
told
my
lies.
passion. Yeah, but your passion was what? Like I believe in God. Like
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
would say.
watching you talk about cannabis like I used to talk about like Blue Jay memorabilia. Like if you ever came to my house and watched like and looked through, I have tickets from like, you know, Blue Jay games from the early 80s and programs. But I grew up in a world that never, I thought
I'm
people
like looking around. I got the first seed cups and stuff like that. From seed bank shirts and shit.
I didn't know this was possible. You're blowing my
the
mind.
thing. Cannabis has been so much a part of his life, and I honestly didn't know it was medical at all until the doctor slapped me in the face, pretty much when I was.
Look at me. It's like smack. What do you mean? It is. If you're using cannabis, I'm sorry you're using it for medical purposes because it's.
I agree.
It helps.
I agree.
Shit. It helps everything. It's
even if you don't know you're using it medicinally, it's still preventative, and
CBD.
completing
There's
your
60
endocannabinoid
plus
system.
in the cannabinoids. There's over 60 different cannabinoids that we have known of. There's probably more that we have no idea. There's the most abundant ones we look at, which is going to be your top 6 or top 8. But now we got into CBGA, CBGC. I mean, there's THCV, THCA. I figured there was a CB3 receptor that I had a hypothesis in 2008 that worked inside the spinal column to help an anti-inflammatory. That hypothesis in 2008 became reality in 2013. They talk about it more today and how it helps with people's spinal cord injury. And that's what I suffer from. And that's why certain strains work for inflammation and anti-inflammatory effects. That's why saving the terps are so important. Because those terps help me with my pain. When you put 15 terpenes underneath my nose and one took the pain away, what would change your mind? Would that change your mind? Anybody? You're in extreme pain. They just took out your C4 and C5 vertebrae because you had an accident. You're in all this pain. Your friends come in and they put 15 terpenes underneath your nose. Number 11, you're like, what the fuck? You're pulling it back with and give me that because it was taking my pain away. That's when it changed my mind. Wow. That's when cannabis really opened up my whole pathway of how the terpenes help regulate the THC to give me the longevity. And that's how I got off my Oxycontin and all my other pills by using cannabis along with the Oxycontin to give longevity so they have to make my pills as long. Because the active forms of THC, they don't want to talk about this. But guess what? Patient testimonials can talk all fucking day, right? I shouldn't swear though.
No, it's all good.
That's okay.
He said the patient word.
The patient word, yeah.
But here it's okay, you can swear.
But here's the thing, John. Your story and your passion is exactly like when we talk about breaking down the stigma and the people who came from my world and are still around. You know, it's the people's stories, like you're saying. You know, like the personal experience is what helps people understand.
Well, I'm so happy with phone works and stuff with the other dads. You guys showing all this great stuff, right? So,
no, that's awesome.
But this is the whole idea, and this is part of the culture or whatever you're into. Is like, I mean, everybody's like you say. I mean, your sports memorabilia. I mean, I used to be into race car driving. I love Dale Earnhardt. And, I used to have all that stuff, and I still have all my trucking magazines and all my Arnold Schwarzenegger magazines when I was a kid because I, used to work out and stuff like that. But I mean, through all of that, there's always been cannabis in my life, but it's been a medicinal part. And it wasn't about getting high. Of course, I enjoy getting high. Don't kid yourself. We all do. I enjoy that enjoyment. I enjoy that relief. But I mean, at the same time, it gives me focus. So, I mean, some people treat it different ways, but I mean, that's like anything. And when you look at how a plant was given to us that grows naturally, that helps us every day. Yeah. What I see now, what is lacking is the connection with the patients and the culture that I saw so much over the decade of being in the industry, of going around to all the clubs and meeting with the patients and talking about the strains, and just the interaction of the rolling and grabbing the pipe with the dry sift, or grabbing the dab rig, or getting the joint ready, or getting the rolly, or whatever it was. It was all part of that culture, or that interaction with one another. And it seems like legalization took that away from the patients that truly need it. And I see that, because where did they go? I know we got Zoom meetings, we do certain things right now, but I mean, the people that I know so much that were truly interactive, I felt like, I do feel like, and I see it, it's like where the patients go. And I know a lot of the things are being shut down because the medical system that was there is now slowly going away when it comes to that. And you'll see that on all of the, I hear a lot of talk about how now the products being offered on the medical end for legalization now is slowly like being decreased, because the legalization part, there's so much of it, but then there's no education on it. You walk into a store and you look at all the different strains, and you got no fucking idea what it is, do you? It's crapshoot now.
If you don't have the educated bud tender, forget it. But yeah, like I was saying before, I unfortunately just thought I was brainwashed too as a teenager that cannabis was a drug, and that, you know, I was bad for doing it, even though I felt that I didn't see anything wrong with it. I felt good when I did it. I was still in control of myself. But I didn't realize that I was self-medicating for my anxiety and depression until the doctor, like I said, slapped me in the face and was like, you do realize that for the last however many years you've been consuming cannabis as a form of medication. Because my partner at the time was telling me I was a drug addict. So it's
oh, don't you like that?
Society is telling you, you know, like, it's difficult. We really need to work hard still to break the stigma with certain people. I know those guys.
It's my old rolling tray.
That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
You can see, like, it's like, I mean, come on.
But that's not a rolling tray.
That was
originally.
My rolling tray. Oh, no,
but you made it a tray. But what was it first? Like a wall sign or something?
I don't know whatever it was, but back then it was like this is a perfect rolling tray.
Right? Yeah.
It flips underneath everything. No one can see it. But I mean, I find it like really hard to remember. Like, I didn't really hide my cannabis use in a sense. Like, even though it was illegal, I felt like it was legal because of my injuries, and I was like, fuck the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you injured yourself? Yes. Okay.
Several times.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I hit my foot. I hurt it. I cut my finger when I got older. No, I'm kidding. My big accident that really was life changing for me would have been June 23rd of 2005. And that was when I fell 20 feet into concrete. Ouch. But if we want to kind of back up a little bit, and when I hit a dump truck head on in 1991, I was using cannabis before that, but I think after the dump truck accident, I used cannabis and I wasn't on pharmaceutical drugs. It was interesting. If I take a look at era and time, and when I was a kid, I used cannabis, and other kids were in school and they're getting put on Ritalin and stuff like that, and I'm over here smoking weed, and I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? You know? And then what really turned in for me is after falling 20 feet in the concrete and waking up, and I was in that extreme major pain. My fall, I broke my neck in 4 places, so I had a C6 burst fracture. So I'm plated between the C5 and C7. And I'm bolted between the C3 and the C6. Okay. I completely shattered my arm, so this was all K-wired in. So I still have K-wires left in the arm. So this is all hypersensitive. It's kind of weird. It's where the pain comes in all the time. I broke my teeth. I shattered my ankle. I broke my hip. Jeez. I had some pretty major injuries. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was life changing. Mm-hmm. And you know, if I speed up today and I had to write this thing about a month ago about what I would, you know, if I would change, if I would do anything, what would I do at this age and stuff like that. And I wrote down everything I would do. And at the end of it, And then I wrote it all out. They said, you didn't change, you were hurt. And then I thought about it. I said, yeah, but it wouldn't be who I am then right now, right? Because it's what defines who you are, and you start realizing who you are and why cannabis was such a big part of my life. And where I started realizing that when I got out of the hospital, this was a big thing for me, is I ate a beautiful brownie from the British Columbia Compassion Club Society. This brownie was made by Paul Hunt, who was the baker, and Paul Hornby was the scientist who was testing and decarboxylating with the two Pauls that came up with this beautiful brownie method. That brownie method actually was found out later more of where the brownie method came from, but I won't disclose that till once they're both passed away one day, right? But these gentlemen found a way of being able to activate THC so it bind receptors to help people who are in chronic pain. And we didn't know that back then. This is new research about everything and how we eat. Everything today when it comes to it is decarboxylating. That was basically by scientists and people like Paul Hornby and Paul Hunt who sat and researched all this. I remember back in the days when I was sitting in the lab with Dr. Hornby and the new place had came on, which is Harborside. It was Steve D'Angelo. We thought he was the fly on the wall inside the lab because he was doing things that no one had done before, and we were the first ones doing it. And then we got some friends from back in the days. Jason Beck had came up, and he's pretty big in the U.S. What he's doing, fantastic friend. And this is all these days of era when this is just groundbreaking and how it's changed everything. We talked about putting different cannabinoids in bags. I mean, I talked about this, separating it. This didn't exist. Okay, it didn't exist. I was like crystal ball. I fucking honestly felt I had a crystal fucking ball. 100%, because everything that is today is what, and I say we're going to separate these cannabinoids, dry sifting, everything. I didn't even know about dry sifting, the separation. And now there's different separations. I'm going to be able to separate those gland heads by size, by density. That's going to be new, and it's going to be by cannabinoid ratios. I do believe there's certain things inside of those head and the sizes and the resin glands and the maturity levels. That's why I talk about first bounce and harvesting different levels of trichomes.
Yes, I love that. I do that too.
Everybody knows that. First bounce is very important. Curing, I've done 3-month pain cures, 2 weeks. I'm done curing with dehumidifiers, destroy your resin. I've cured it so many different ways. It's about saving the terps, and it's about holding that relative humidity level, holding that active water, which is, you don't want to, believe me, I've done this enough. You don't want to kick your relative humidity in your room below 65, because once you put it in a container, it'll be below 55. When you do that, it's kind of taking that thin layer of, say, like saran wrap off of that terpene head, and you're going to smell it as fragrant, but that's what you want to taste and feel. That's the aromatherapy. That's the medical effects that you're taking away from what I need. I need that standardized after spending basically my whole adult life trying to standardize cannabis in certain ways, with growing, with lighting, with everything from different nutrients, from Medi-1, from standardization, from decarboxylating to finding that sweet spot. I soon realized in working with Boveda and looking at things and having a nice little water activity machine. It's here somewhere. I was just using it. It's like all these tools are around me. I have water. I have a light meter right here because the sun was running through the sun, and I'm looking at this stuff. See the passion? Like when you love your hockey team or you love your Blue Jays, you know everything about every player, what they've done. I know everything about every instrument and how cannabis is measured in so many different ways. It's stupid because that's like my favorite fucking team. Your best way of you saying it, but that's how it is. It's my favorite fucking baseball, football team, hockey team, whatever it is, and I know every player. I know how many times they scored, when they scored, how they saved it, what they've done, and when they haven't, I push them to see how they've done it. Okay, how can you do this? That's me growing in my videos, and the 350 plus videos online of me growing my own medicine, because I'm showing you how I've learned. Because I'm curious, like you guys are. That's why we're both so engaged, because we're both curious about one another, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, the knowledge, John, that you must have, because I know it doesn't mean anything to Timmy as you're talking about, you know, Paul squared, both of them, and you're throwing names out, and he's just like, yeah, they're just names. But these are like,
these are the legends in my eyes. When you got the Soma Mission, you got the Franco, he gave me the shirt from Strain Hunters. I remember talking with Franco in 2012, was it 2013, in Amsterdam. And
that's like a dream.
And you can hear a pin drop as people were around me, and as they could hear, I looked around me, and I could see I was surrounded by people. People were taking pictures of me and Franco talking, because I had just won first place in Toronto for my medical kush, for Medi Kush, and it was it's you know, it's a special strain. And Franco loved that strain. He's an indica guy, and we got depth into growing, how indicas grow, and the leaf density, and the patterns, and on the light, and how it shaded this, and it
Oh
was
my
so
God.
awesome. And I could even, I'm right there because I could smell. It's the smell, and it was like that moment in
Oh
time
my
that
God.
you're just like,
I'm getting teary-eyed, John. Like
I'm getting
you
teary-eyed right
you have no
now,
idea. Like
right?
I'm like in
it was
Amsterdam. Huh.
special. It was special.
Yeah.
It was a very special moment in my life. Yeah.
Mhm. I can't
Yes.
even imagine.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
You're
give me
welcome.
tears. Yeah,
I hope that when I'm in
it
the
was a very
industry.
special moment in my life of being able to. Let me tell you one thing, and I just read a book. It's called Proximity Principle. You should read it. Everybody here should read it. Wow, I'm sitting here in tears of something. I'm a beautiful man. Franco was an amazing soul, and rest in peace on all those great people out there, from Jason Wilcox, from Horatio, and from Greg Williams and Michelle Rainey. Wow.
Now
A
you're
lot of
really
people
gonna
out
make
there.
me cry. You're going
Yeah.
in deep, aren't you?
Tracy and stuff like that. There's so many people I miss and love so much, and they're in me. The spirit's in me. That vision, that creation, that love, that passion, and it's all in every one of us right here. That's why we have these tears right now, because it's the passion of the plant, right? Of the people that you've associated yourself with, those memories.
Yeah.
And that plant took me to a moment in time when I was with Franco and talking in Amsterdam in 2013 and being surrounded. And look at that emotion. That's what the plant does to you. That's what a hockey team does to you. That's what your best player does for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean that's what we've talked about before on this thing. Is like I still don't.
This is an amazing interview. I feel so blessed to be able to sit here and talk about that. When you mentioned like the hockey team, as
I don't-
Covered in tears.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here looking at it going, I could tell you so much about this player right now who just got new on the team and what he's been doing, because he's like fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He's been able to measure everything and be able to get on par and be able to know when the player's got to come to play. Like that's what the Temp Tech
And he
does.
showed us the rookie with the lighter and the metal piece.
This is
The
where the
rookie
connection
was right here. This was the Temp Tech. He came in the beginning. He didn't know how to do it. He's the Wayne Gretzky, right? But I mean, then we had to have Burry show up.
Well, this is where the connection comes though. Like, even though I don't yet know these specific people and these things, I'm drawn to the passion because I understand the passion. My passion happened to be in sports, and so I can I see the tears, and even though I'm not have that connection, I appreciate it and love it. And it's one of the things that has helped me go from like preaching against cannabis to being an advocate, because I'm seeing these stories and I'm seeing this passion, and I'm seeing
people that are awesome,
real people. Like, it's been huge.
Yeah, we're real, just over here, Sean.
Yeah. And we're not like your typical lazy stoner, like, you know, the stigma seems to stay.
Well, you know what? The whole thing is you can do that with anything and anybody. And the guy that all he does is sit at home and play video games, because I see my neighbors when I go on my 5 a.m. walk, kids are still up playing video games at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then at 2 o'clock, they come outside in their pajamas on, like, oh, morning, with a big smile on their face. I'm like, yeah, I remember that fucking days. Yeah, I was stupid. I wish I would have learned what I know now back then. And the adult was 50 was telling me back then to grow the fuck up. I was like, yeah, shut up. I'm like,
now, you don't know anything.
Now, when you're talking about going for your 5 o'clock walk, one of the things that I can really relate to you with, that I'm super excited I stumbled across, was I'm on this health journey to get my, to really optimize my life, and seeing you're on like this 100 push-ups a day thing, and I'm seeing your pictures of your
50.
I started with 50 push-ups a day for 50 days while turning 50. I started November 10th, and on January 31st, and I turned 50 on when I was there. I saw you guys. That never stopped. I went on my morning walks, 5 a.m. when I was in Sudbury, Ontario, -21. I'm on my walk doing push-ups outside. I haven't missed it. The day when that convoy started to go across Canada there at 8:15 in the morning, out on the freeway doing push-ups, showing them doing push-ups, and watching the convoy starting. So that was kind of cool for me. And I was like, okay, I'll do it this way. I started my push-up challenge. How about this? Like this. February 2nd of 2021, I walked out. I started walking around. I started doing the Edge program with Tony Robbins, which is a way of just getting a mental stability going. And it was 5 minutes a day of breathing exercises, and I was walking around my house. And I can tell you right now, that was hard for me to do. I can tell you that on September 1st, I could only do 2 push-ups, and I do 150 a day right now. So, and I could do 31 was my max there the other day, and that was after a bong rep. So I figured I'm going to do a big bong rep and do some push-ups with you guys.
Wait, so how many months did it take you to go from doing 2 push-ups to 150 a day?
Would be a year, wouldn't it? Because he said it was February.
I started September of last year, so it was September, October, November, December, January, so 4 months.
You know, it's funny because when you were saying
lost 80 pounds too in the last 14 months.
Yeah, you look healthier. And when you were telling the story of like all the injuries and, you know, you broke this and you have this, and I'm like, I wouldn't know that from looking at you.
Well, it's been, I can only do so much. So I have 5-pound weights. People like think I'm strong. I'm not. I can't do anything over my head. Certain things. I'm healthy mentally and physically because of just sit-ups, push-ups, and crossovers and bong reps. Yeah. Where's my marble?
But even in photos from you from like a year or 2 years ago, you look healthier now.
Like the last year for me has been. On November 21st, 2021. So 14 months ago, I stepped on the scale. It was 222 pounds.
Wow.
And I hadn't been that heavy in a very long time because at one point I used to be 280 pounds. So at one point I've lost over 140 pounds, 130 pounds in my total lifetime now. And I just made a decision. You know, you decide, you make a choice. That's what you have in life. It's called choice. And once you make a choice, if you decide, you can do anything you want. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to lose some weight. So I went on a Noobie diet and talked about to teach us about water density foods. Really what it is. It's not a diet. It's just a way of things. And I used that and I went November. And my goal was to get to 200 pounds. I wanted to lose 22 pounds. So I lost 22 pounds in a month. From November 21st, and by the end, by January 1st, I have about 200 pounds. That was my goal.
That's great.
I got there. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And I went through some parts in life, and I read a book which was Max Out Your Life with Ed Latin. It was like 5 a.m. club. And I was listening to Tony Robbins, I Am Not Your Guru. And I was like, it's the Edge program. It was a free thing on YouTube. 5-day, 10-day little thing, and I took notes and wrote this thing down every day. I'm like, fuck it, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I started walking around the inside of my living room, and I did it for 5 minutes, breathing exercises, and then out the nose. And on March 2nd, I walked out my front door, and I started doing it for 20 minutes a day. So I've been doing it for exactly a year, every day, and I haven't stopped. So I go my 20-minute walk in the morning. I come home, I stretch. I remember only doing 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and then 15, and then doing 10, 15 crossovers. And now I do 100 crossovers, 100 sit-ups, and 100 push-ups every day. And I've been doing that now for over 4 months. I have lists of it sitting here. So you got my challenge sitting right here. Here's the other challenge I did over there. Yep. I defined my goals and roles. You know what I mean? I got all these little things, and
you like that. You like this, eh?
Oh,
it's recovery. It's important, and it's a way of getting through to yourself and defining what you're really pursuing in life, and being positive and being grateful for what you have. I'm so grateful to be able to talk to you guys. We're having problems. Look at this. We found another system. We're talking, and look at how great it worked out. I'm thankful for that, and be able to sit here and be able to just share this with you guys. And I look at the way how life has gone through, and like every day I wake up, I'm like, wow, I'm able to enjoy life because of a plant and the people around it that has helped me get through what I've gone through. And we fight more for this plant than we do for world peace. Think about that. 420s and what we've done all over the world, and we fight for this plant, but we don't seem to fight. We don't have, like Earth Day, we do, but 420s over the years, we've stood up. You see how things have changed with the industry, and it's helped everything. And now we're seeing a complete change with legalization around the world. It's completely revolutionizing. And I remember being on the news. I said, CTV news, and I remember they said, when you hear when a tree's falling, you can't stop it. That's what's happened now. Legalization's coming. You can't stop it. This is me saying this in 2016, 2017 on CTV News with Jody Emery. And I remember making the news all the time. I mean on the news a lot, not once or twice. Probably a couple other times. They've been in my garden, CTV News, cops are here, like you name it. We were taking on Health Canada, Jason Wilcox, rest his soul, the stuff that we've done, and all of those things, because we believed in it. It was our passion. We didn't, it wasn't like, it's not like, well, look where we are today. If people around the world keep fighting for something they believe in that is non-threatening, is non-violent, is non-harm, and it doesn't, what's it do? It saves lives. We know that.
I would like to think that if we legalized cannabis worldwide, maybe we would have world peace, because everybody would just be more relaxed and happy.
Well, we have world peace in certain ways you look at it. And, I mean, peace comes within, and if there wasn't chaos, then we wouldn't be excited, would we?
It's true. Yin and yang, right?
Yep.
Yin and yang.
You need a little bit of variety and uncertainty, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need a little bit of sufficient. You need a little bit of growth, contribution, love, and connection. That's your 6 human needs. Pretty much got that down right there, right?
Yep.
We're in this beautiful wheel of life, and it's a physical and emotional life, and it's definitely it's a career life, and it's definitely a family life, and when you get really down to it, it becomes very spiritual. Yep. And you really look at it, because without you having the spiritual part of it, and then the relationship part, and then your family and your career, we're really what, and all that comes down to growth and contribution. That's why I love the plant so much, because it gives me growth and contribution. We're contributing to one another right now, and I think it's, you guys make me smile. Thank you.
With the fitness journey you're on, I'm interested. You're at 100 push-ups a day. Like, are you going to go to 150 for 150 days after this? Where does this go?
Well, the whole thing is, I look at this as a life journey. So I get up at 5 a.m. for the rest of my life. When I get up, my clothes are ready.
Yeah, I do.
Get up. As soon as when I get out of bed, you're gonna get this one. I get out of bed, I jump down, and I do 20 push-ups instantly.
Nice.
Right.
Get the blood going.
Then I use the bathroom. Right now it's minus 15 out, minus 10. I walk outside in my underwear, and I've been doing that since it's been cold out. If it wasn't, it's an ice cold shower. But I do that after I do my walk. So I always do. Yep. I always do an ice cold shower every day.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I started that. I get up, I go right to my yoga mat for a half hour. Yeah. I hop in a cold shower. I go for a half-hour walk. Come back.
I do my walk first thing. I activate the metabolism first thing. And I do that by my breathing exercises. So right away, shoes on, out the door. Now get this one. You're going to really like this one, my friend. I walk backwards for 10 minutes and walk forward for 10 minutes to retrain the neurons in your head. So the first 10 minutes I walk forwards by breathing. Then I do 10 minutes of incantations walking backwards. And then I walk forwards by now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow my life. I will believe in myself, not doubt. That's awesome. I will create, not destroy.
I love the mentality and what you're talking about in terms of, making that decision. I did that, over a year ago. I just posted a picture on my thing of what I looked like in 2017. And I was blown away. And yoga.
He had chin on chin.
Like, I was a thin guy who never saw that I was unhealthy, because thin people always think they can't be unhealthy. Like, thin can be unhealthy.
It's skinny fat.
And yoga became in that changed my life. On one day, I went to a vegan diet. On the next day, I gave up meat for 1 year just on a dime. It wasn't a slow progression. It was like, I'm going to choose to do this. And now, like you were talking about, right? I walk outside my door now because I'm determined to hit 10,000 steps every day. And it was like minus 21. And it's like, I'm not going to let weather stop me. I'm not going to I'm just going to put on another layer and I'm going to walk out the door.
Yeah. Like rain, shine, I don't care what it's doing. I can have an umbrella, put a hood on. It's minus 20. I'll put boots. We're used to it. Summer, I didn't care. You know what? It's called commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
You're only lying. I got a thing on that. When you say you can't, you're lying.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Define your roles and goals, right? Potential, actions, results, beliefs, and certainty.
People people do the things that they want to do. They always say they want to do it, but then the moment rain comes and they're like, oh, I'm not going to go outside today. It's like, well, did you really want that goal? Like, what?
Okay, here's the whole thing. When you grow plants and you grow cannabis, it doesn't give you a time. It tells you it needs food. You got to water. You just can't go outside and go to your garage and do what you got to do because you don't feel like it that day.
Right.
Yep.
I didn't get out of my wheelchair because
I learned that the
I didn't
hard.
want to get out of my wheelchair. I had to fucking do it. Right.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
learned
a
that
kid
the
that
hard
doesn't
way.
walk. You know, you say, oh, it doesn't walk. Oh, well, we're just gonna. You think the parents, when your kids, and it's not doing that well. We're not gonna let it walk. Then fuck it. Of course, you're gonna keep trying until the kid walks or talks, right? And they're gonna probably gonna take it to school. And you're gonna. That's the same with yourself. We put more into our jobs than ourselves. We don't work on ourselves. We don't realize that. I didn't realize it at 50. I'm like, fuck, I got this great thing called myself to work on.
Yeah. You know what's funny? My dad told me this a long time ago. When you're growing up and you're 20, like before 20, you're pretty much invincible. You don't think of death unless your parents are like, watch out for cars. If you think about cars, you're gonna die if you run out in the street. But other than that,
in society, like shit, that fucking got killed.
Right? Like, and we're invincible until we hit like 30, and then we start to pay attention to the world. I don't know about 40 yet because I haven't got there. But I know, like my dad says, around like 50, 60, he's really feeling it. He just turned 70. And he said, like, the only thing that you have in life is time. You can spend money, get money. You can get, gain a house, lose a house, get a boyfriend, a job, whatever. But time, you only have so much of it and it's gone. And you don't know when that end is. He said, so like every single moment, make the best of it, make the most of it. And you're huge on that with today sets up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today sets up tomorrow 100%. I love that you say that because you know what you don't do today, you can do tomorrow. I get up in the morning, I'm grateful for what I've done the day before. Always grateful. I spend 5 minutes of gratefulness and gratitude because what I've gone through, I learned this a lot. Tony Robbins has been in the back of my head since my fall with 28 feet. He got me out of my wheelchair. I wrote signs on the wall. He's always been empowering of this Les Brown, Jim Rohn. These motivational speeches in the morning for like 10, 15 minutes of feeding your mind has really gotten to me where I am today. And I didn't really realize it until you start realizing where you are. And you're like, I was in a wheelchair and they said I wouldn't be walking and I was fucked for life. And here I am going, no, I'm not.
Right.
Yeah. You can do more push-ups than I can do. Sit up.
I'm going to do a bong rip. I'm going to do 20 push-ups and my cat's going to watch me too.
Nice.
But, I mean, it's really, you have to do it. Yeah, and it really comes down to your health and fitness and really just setting daily goals, daily agenda. And, like 420, I love doing a bong rip. It's 342. There's a 42 in there.
Nice. Well, it's 420 somewhere in 8 minutes, I think.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the journey you're on, and I appreciate you started this whole conversation off pretty much with, you used the word growth almost immediately. And there comes a point where people, they stop growing, they settle in, and I think that's so sad.
Yeah. Well, even that child that like John was saying that didn't learn how to walk. The interesting thing about children is even if you sat a child down every time they tried to walk, they would still continue to try to walk.
They're not going to stop.
They want to learn.
Yeah.
They want to grow. I don't know at what point.
At one point, fear takes over, and we stop taking risks.
I think it's after school, after college, when we actually go out into, like you're saying, work for somebody else.
You say, what stops us? I thought it just came out of me. I was like, cat meow. Oh my God. Already done it. Not wisdom, but what stops you is fuck. How come I can't say the word? It's not knowledge, but it's called, once you do something over, you get used to doing something. So what is that called? Come on, think about it. Come on, guys.
When you get used
repetitiveness? No. Comfort.
Complacent.
Complacent. It's like you already know. Like you're used to something, so you don't try it anymore. I've already done it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh no, you can't do that. I've already done it that way. You're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? I've already tried it. So this is why.
So they're like set in the way.
This is why God makes history with young people, because Oh, people got too much knowledge, too much wisdom. Oh, I've already tried it. It doesn't work.
Right.
That's how we are. You get comfortable. You
Yeah.
stop growing inside. Don't forget the 6 human needs. One of the biggest ones, in my opinion, is growth and contribution. Because when you're growing inside and contributing to others, you'll keep growing and keep contributing. You'll keep growing and you'll keep living your life. But when you stop growing and stop contributing, you start dying. That's with business. That's with life. And I see that in business and seasons and in everything that you see in life. You got to continue growing your life. And no matter what that is, the plant helps me grow every day. New strains, new divisions, new growth patterns, new everything. You'll never take that away. And when I can, I help you get growth by talking with other people and educating each other. Like our growth and contribution and connection is certainty.
Yeah.
I wrote it down as part of like my everyday, right? It's kind of like that's what gets me going every day is this growth and contribution, of to connect with people and talk about this. And even if that little frustration not being able to get the one TV to work and jumping on here, and I got a laptop over there, and I'm like, this is awesome, right?
Yeah. No, I'm actually kind of glad that we couldn't get the computer to work and we went with the cell phone, because we got a tour around your place. We got to see some awesome memorabilia, a trip down memory lane. That's like, I really appreciate you taking the time today, John, to sit down with us and help grow
you guys
us.
being able to offer the education to others and seeing what we're truly, what the medical community is about, what is truly done for the patients. And like this plant is, I mean, like, do you think the pharmaceutical drugs would have, I mean, where do you go when the system fails you? That was a big article with Ken Mooney back in 2005, 2006, and that's what it was. Is the system was failing me, and where do you go? I went to the cannabis community, guys, and the community held me and took me in.
Yeah.
And we were able to start, and I was part of the members rep, and starting that community with Green Cross and holding the patients and talking about decarboxylating and activated forms of THC and how it helped bind the receptors and helped them with pain by using natural GABAs and tyrosine and D-phenylalanine. And if you're working out, we use all the different amino acids that affect us different ways to help with the building blocks and the branched chain amino acids along with cannabis to help with your better growth from your whatever, you know what I mean? That's what called injuries about, man. You got to learn how to heal. And cannabis plays a huge part of that. It helps you with the PTSD parts or the pain or whatever you've gone through because of whatever happened to you. They don't want to talk about that. But when you get hurt, something's happened to you. And that alone is trauma, no matter whatever it is, because you're in a recovery spot of your life. So if you lost your life condition, doesn't match your blueprint anymore. And that's one thing they don't teach you in life. And that's one thing I just recently learned. I wish I would have learned this when I fell and got hurt 18 years ago. They didn't teach me about my life condition matching my blueprint, which is what you're able to do and what you actually want to do. So when I got hurt, my life condition didn't match my blueprint, and I kept striving for that blueprint that my life condition didn't meet. And it's really what we all learn in life. And I'm happy to talk about you with this. And I like how you're kind of engaged, because it is. We've got to look at our life condition to match your blueprint. And understand that whatever you can do, you got to make sure that your blueprint matches that, your capabilities can match that blueprint. Because when you can't, that leads to depression, despair, and all these other bad things. So you realize that in your morning walks, in your incantations, and your breathing exercises, and your cold showers.
I was actually going through, it's funny because my condition is IBS, and I kept trying to fit into a 9 to 5. I also have chronic coccydynia, which is just a fancy name for a warped tailbone. It's like crooked, so I can't sit for too long too long. So to sit at a 9 to 5 job just doesn't work. And I went to school to be an admin assistant, so that was the job, sitting in an office from 9 to 5. I had to figure out.
You see this book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to get this book? It's Built from Broken. This is one book.
Okay.
Very, very good book.
Okay.
Very, very good book. Really good book. And then the other one, the one that I'm running on right now, because when you live with these conditions, because we don't call them conditions. I would say, oh, I'm disabled, and then I was told very firmly, you're not disabled, John. You are handicapped, and don't worry about it. You walking every day. But here's another one that I'm just starting right now. And this one is the adult-free program. This one's pretty damn starting.
Pain-free.
Yeah. So these are 2 books that's what I'm talking about. Like, I got books everywhere on managing chronic pain, pain management,
No matter where you go in my house, these books are pretty much everywhere because you want to educate yourself. But I mean, it's kind of like, but I do the same thing by. This is awesome. You guys are in my house. You get to see everything. I got little signs everywhere, but I mean, I have all my books here, right? All my cannabis Bibles, every single one, the breeders' diseases and everything here, all the new ones, all the cannabis and chronic pain and marijuana and cannabinoids for research and stuff like that. You guys can see this, right?
Yeah.
That's good. So, I mean, that's the reading material. I mean, that's what we do. It's kind of like people study things. Oh, I can see myself there. This is cool. And then here's the old filing cabinet with all my stickers over the years.
Nice.
Like, this whole filing cabinet's full of stickers, guys. Like, you're talking like 30 years of stickers.
You got some relics then.
Oh, yeah, all the way down, all the way around. And I got that because Ted Smith had him on his wall at, if people don't know about this, Ted had, oh my God, I'm drawing a complete blank of his club. It was the first compassionate club basically in Canada, along with BCCS, Victoria Young Compassionate Club. And wow, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank, and I don't know why. Hempology used to do Hempology 101 and stuff like that. These are some old art guys that a lot of people don't know about, the people who basically paved the way for legalization, educating at all of the colleges. We were talking on stage at UVic, so it was University of Victoria, and Ted had little meetings there all the time. He used to talk on stage with Paul Hornby, and he had a compassionate club for patients, and he did all this stuff with Owen Smith and took all the court challenges, and that would have been involved with Kurt Toussaint, John Conroy. People know about all of these cases, Matt Barron. So this is all this. Yeah, I went to all of these court cases. I remember sitting in the courtrooms. So
well, John,
it's been a long fight for sure.
Yeah. Well, then apparently the fight's not quite over, but I'm pumped by your passion about the plant, about life, about growth, that whole philosophy, and it's been a real pleasure to chat with you today.
And to anybody who's listening, if you would like some motivation and to see exactly what it looks like to take control and action and actually grow, check out John.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
On Instagram, because 5 o'clock every morning he's
every
up.
day.
That's
every
awesome.
Morning. I'm 365 days going out the door. I've been doing it for over a year.
Wow.
I'm on a 10-year plan till I'm 60. I want to have a 6-pack when I'm 60. I want to bench press my weight when I'm 60. That was my plan.
Yeah.
So that would be, I've got 10 years to go. So it's a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a 35 by 50. So I turn 50 in a year and a half, and I want to be able to hit some average metrics, physical health wise, of a 35-year-old. I want to be able to stand side by side with a 35-year-old and compete.
You know what I find? I find now at being at 35 and now at 50 and where I was in life at 35, it's easy at 50 to compete with a 35-year-old, because 35-year-old doesn't know what they're looking at. At 50, you know what you want. You know the body that you're looking for. At 35, you think this is what you want. You know what I mean? That's
why.
At this age, it's kind of like now I can look back at life and go, I'm getting more wiser. I've got a lot more wisdom. I have a lot more knowledge of where I've been, and where I was at 35 was I wanted to do this. Yeah. But for me, I was recovering. So for me, it was a different. The last 15 years of cannabis has been a huge part of my recovery, and I think that's why it's been a big part of my life. It's such a big passion. Yeah. And before that, it was always part of my life because it was basically my medicine without me really knowing it until I started realizing that more and more in the last 10, 12 years, realizing that cannabis has been a medicine for me my whole life. And I think as we go into the future, it should be in our Cheerios for our kids, CBDs, maybe not so much the THCs because of the euphoric effects, but a lot of the different cannabinoids are building blocks to our general well-being every day, homeostasis, right?
It's a good goal to have.
We've debated often as mothers, would it really be wrong to give your child a brownie before bed? I mean, of course, none of us have ever done it, but I mean, we've discussed it.
Well, the whole thing is when you look at it, is the body has its own THC, and we know that through anandamide and 2-AG. We get into the neuroscience of it. We should have another meeting. We should do another interview.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should
no,
for
we-
sure.
We have so much.
I know you want to keep it down to a certain time, and I like to
We
do
have
that.
no.
We're gonna do a part 2.
We're gonna do a part
absolutely.
2. Absolutely, John. This has been the fastest hour. One of the fastest hours I've experienced.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
and
an
we've
hour. So
laughed.
how can I talk for an hour? And I'm like, I can do that.
It's
Yeah,
funny. We've
no,
laughed.
we'll-
We've cried.
We'll do part 2 for sure. I want to connect the end of the show with the beginning of the show, and that was with goals. You had a goal back when you were young, and you said, I am going to, when I grow up, I'm going to, we're going to hit legalization, and I'm going to do this, and you did that. And now you're talking about your physical goal, and you're 60, no chance in the world you're not going to reach those goals either. Really inspiring, really encouraging. I love following you on Instagram since I found you, and thank you so much. And we will do part 2. As long as you're excited about it, we would love to do it.
I want to do part 2 because I want to talk more about what I've been dreaming and really working on, which is the SIW, my thing about Medi-Centers and helping patients around the world, and education on pharmaceutical drugs, the true needs, and what's going on with cannabis. And you know what? That's the more to come with that, and talking about, getting this information to people, patients around the world, and how we can do that. Because it's something that's been a dream of mine, and being able to actually facilitate people with that, what they need. And I think it's more or less, dreams become realities because I keep pushing hard every day to get that to the patients and the people. And I think that could be part of part 2. So I can't wait to talk to you guys more about the future of what cannabis and the future of what we could do for patients and the education and what we all can do together and what we've already been doing. But I think I just don't think we know how to, but I think there might be a way of doing that with how things have changed. Like, world's changing and the digital world's opening up, and we're able to now touch each other and talk and be real, which is amazing. Now we could truly do some work. Really.
That's so awesome.
And we need it. That's the
work.
The
it's pretty exciting. Thank you guys so much for
no problem.
No, thank you.
Everybody listening and watching, the links will be below in the description of both YouTube and a podcast form. Connect with John for sure on Instagram, and stay tuned because part 2 is going to be quite the roller coaster as well. John, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much, guys. Peace.
This, guys, is a BT bottle with a little straw on the end of it, okay? Back in the day, we used to have glass bottles, soda pop in glass bottles, okay? Soft drinks. And this was built for the old school hash. This is the hash that your uncles and your grandparents would get. And this is the stuff that we would all treasure whenever we could get it because we thought it was the best stuff because it's the constant. It was our form of concentrate.
Correct.
Right? When we were young, right?
Yes.
This is
To answer your question now.
Oh, here we go.
Forward. Oh, now you're going to cut this out if it doesn't work, right?
You just cut it out now. These are the 3 tools I use to form and shape the hackers.
So now once the prep work is done over on the lathe, it now has to come over to me to put the mouthpiece on and finish off the top part. So first up, I just need to clean up and close off the top that's left over.
First thing I'll do is I will heat up the corner, and I'll push in the Maria, which is the circular lump that acts as a stopper. Right? Whereas I'm kind of like, I'm 49 years old, but I don't have time to be an artist.
You know, each one is individual, though. There's only one of each. So it does make it art.
Oh, stop it. Okay.
Hi, I'm Timmy.
And I'm Mary Jane. He's the Noobie,
She's the Doobie, and this is the show
where we
tote
cannabis
talk
from both sides.
Is that even possible?
Stay tuned